ordinances on final reading. We have already gone through that. Items number 5A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. So seeing they are already in the records, we will move on to ordinances on first reading. Madam Clerk? Before we do that, Councilman Gilbert.
Can you come up for a few minutes? Going back to, I think, yes, last week that John read out the conditions. Can you read the conditions again on C, on the planning?
On Chattanooga gas, which is 20.
Yes, yes.
Let me get that for you. Has two conditions: demolition of 2 existing warehouse buildings and use limited to gas metering and control station only.
I need to add to that because we discussed a few more other things. One of them was make sure they have a solid fence around the facility where the gas is going to be placed. They agreed to the greenery, to look at the next door to make sure it's the same as close by them for us, the grass and the brushes and things of that nature. The buffer in the very back to remain there from neighborhoods to this facility.
Okay, I wasn't aware of those conditions that were discussed last week. Is that something in the field? Do you have those conditions that was discussed last week?
Well, no, I discussed this with John.
You did, okay.
And with the individual, the owners, or potential owners of the property. They had no issues with it, but I want to make sure that's in there.
Okay, that's something I assume you can do tonight.
Exactly. I just want to make sure, I want you to read them out and make sure I was clear of what they already said. They'll be conditioned to. I just want to add to it tonight.
Okay.
Thanks.
Alternate version 2.
Yes.
That's it, Councilman Gilbert?
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Phil, is that going to put it back to first reading, or can you just add some conditions and we can move on?
The provisions here, I guess, depends on how many conditions we add to it on there. The conditions that are showing here at this point says that at a minimum, when the limit of disturbance is proposed within 25 feet of the non-development zone shown in a map here, a licensed survey will delineate by high visibility fence, 3 foot high, a minimum distance of 100 feet. I believe the only change is the map was added from last time to this time, and with the language that was included. If it's a minor amendment, you would be able to go through with second reading. If it's something more than that, then there would have to be another reading.
I believe we're talking about case 45,
Yes, sir. Well,
which is Lookout Valley.
look at, no.
This is 39. We're back on Chattanooga.
Yeah, I think what Phil just read off should be the buffering, the screening. That should be for 45.
Yes, sir. 45C.
Yeah, that's not the one that Councilman Gilbert's talking about.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, this is this week's C. All right, sorry.
He's talking, Councilman Gilbert's talking about 2019-39.
Okay. Let me get you the numbers.
You good, Madam Clerk? Okay. Okay, is that it, Councilman Mitchell?
No.
I don't know that I ever got an answer.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to get you an answer.
Oh, okay. Have a moment there.
This is the one deferred from last week, and is there an attack, there's just a staff version?
We're on
alternate-
5C.
Alternate version 2, and it says 2019-45 on this reference, correct, or not?
No.
No.
39.
Councilman Gilbert's talking about 5C,
Yes, sir.
final reading.
I got it.
I think the one you're referencing, Phil, is under new reading 6C.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we haven't got to that point yet, 6C. But we, okay, no, that was, this is item on first reading. We were leaving the items on final reading. So we get ready.
This is final reading.
On 45?
39.
39, okay, got that, yeah.
The only two conditions that are referenced in that ordinance are demolition of 2 existing warehouse buildings and use limited to gas metering and control station only. And that's the only reference on this version.
Correct. I believe the Councilman Gilbert has spoken to John, I guess, since last week and wants to add some additional conditions to this ordinance tonight.
If there are others to be added on there, then it would be required another reading, yes,
Okay, thank you.
Okay. We need to defer that tonight then.
yes.
Okay. Is that it? Okay. That's it? Okay, great. Thank you, Councilman. Now we move on to ordinances on first reading. 6A, please.
An ordinance hereinafter, also known as the fiscal year 2019-2020 operations budget, providing revenue for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2019 and ending June 30, 2020, appropriating same to the payment of expenses of the municipal government, fixing the rate of taxation on all taxable property in the city, and the time taxes and privileges are due, how they shall be paid, when they shall become delinquent, providing for interest and penalty on delinquent taxes and privileges, amending Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 2, Section 267, relative to paid leave for active duty training, and to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 31, Section 3136, 3137, 3141, and 3143, Sections 31322 and 31354.
Seeing no questions, let's go to B, please.
An ordinance appropriating, authorizing, or allocating funds to the capital improvement budget for the fiscal year 2019-2020.
Thank you. C, please.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 38, zoning ordinance so as to rezone property located at, rezone address to Fringe Road, more particularly described herein, so as to rezone property address to Fringe Road, more particularly described from A1 Urban Agricultural Zone and R1 Residential Zone to RTZ Residential Townhouse 0, Lot Line Zone, C2 Convenience Commercial Zone, and UGC Urban General Commercial Zone, subject to certain conditions.
Okay. Councilman Mitchell, did you have something you want to say?
Well, I jumped a little soon, but I was going to try to get an explanation, but which version would we be voting on tonight?
Well, the alternate version number 2. And Brian, I guess, I see Dallas here in the,
Yes, there was a revision to condition number 1. I think it was deferred on first reading last week to make sure LDO was comfortable with the wording on condition number 1. We met on Friday, and LDO is comfortable with the wording. That's why you have alternate version 2 in front of you tonight. Hey, you want me to read
yeah,
that condition?
please, yeah.
Just the condition number 1? All 3 of them.
Well, I think basically it would, the 3 conditions that were placed on it create the alternate version 2, right?
Correct. Staff had one condition. Planning Commission changed that condition on topography number, and then it got the City Council. The applicant added 2 more conditions. That was the difference in the staff versus the applicant versus City
I
Council.
think Councilman Mitchell would like them read so that he could hear.
Right, okay. Number 1, as a minimum, when the limit of disturbance is proposed within 25 feet of the non-development zone, illustrated in the attachment, a licensed surveyor shall delineate by a high-visibility fence 3 foot high for a minimum distance of 100 feet. The high-visibility fencing is to be verified by the Land Development Office and shall be maintained throughout the land disturbance process. Condition number 2, for each portion of the site being developed through the land disturbing permit process, prior to the commencement of land disturbing activity, a licensed surveyor shall delineate the non-development zone to be verified by the Land Development Office. In addition, the non-development zone shall be shown on the site by a high visible fence, at least 1 foot wide and 3 foot above grade along the entire boundary of the protected area. This fence shall be maintained throughout the land disturbing process for the portion of the site being developed. And finally, number 3, the C2 portion of this site shall be limited in uses to only those allowed in the UGC zone, single-family housing, hotel, and resort with accessory common to the use. Those are the 3 conditions that were provided by the applicant.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir. Okay, Councilman Mitchell?
Can I break a little procedure and address Councilman Henderson, please?
Yes.
Is this an attempt to sort of give a little jump start to some steep slope development, some of these conditions?
Okay, hit your button, Councilman. Okay. There you are.
This whole condition, I think is a jump start to the steep slope ordinance. Now, whether this language gets included in the ordinance itself, we'll have to wait and see, but I think it's certainly good language to have to delineate between what can be cleared and what can be cleared, what can't and what can be cleared in the steep slopes. So, okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, I've got one more since I'm active.
Sure, absolutely.
One question that I had, and I think it assumes that number 2 actually says prior to the commencement of land disturbing that this fence will be verified. That same language is not in 1. I think it is implied though, correct? Or is there something there that we need to have? Condition number 1.
Dallas and Charlie, they have signed off on these conditions. If they think they need something else to help them enforce this, I defer to LDO.
Well, I was going to ask to see if we need to include that. Dallas, I don't see that condition number 1 is being verified. It is stated that it will be done, but it is not stated that it is to be verified before land disturbing is activated.
Okay, as a matter of policy, regardless of what conditions are, if you have an area that is supposed to be undisturbed, we're requiring this, and we're requiring that be walked by our personnel
Okay, so,
prior to it starting, right? And that's why I had as a minimum, because we have some additional things, but that's why I wanted that.
okay, so policy is, by this condition, policy would require there be a walking of that
Yes, sir,
buffer
and
before any land disturbing is.
I want to make sure what happened to me and you over off of 27 never happens
Never,
again.
yeah, absolutely. We don't.
Because I know what I went through, and I know you went through more than I did, and I did not enjoy that.
Okay.
So
Thank
we will, and they have some new tools out that they're going to give us access to, that we can actually pull the map up on our phone, and it'll show where we're walking on the site, overlay on the plans that they have. So for this particular project, it'll be interesting to use that. But yes, sir, we will do that, because I don't want to experience that in the future.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, Council.
Okay, now we'll move on to D, please, transportation.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 24, Division 8, Section 24507, relative to restricted on-street parking areas.
Resolution 7C, please.
A resolution approving short-term vacation rental application number 19 STVR 00043 for property located at 312 Tremont Street.
D, please.
A resolution approving short-term vacation rental application 19 STVR 00053 for property located at 314 Old Mountain Road.
F, please. Did I miss one? E.
A resolution approving short-term vacation rental application number 19 STVR 00063 for property located at 410 Ziegler Street.
Thank you. F, please.
A resolution approving short-term vacation rental application 19 STVR 00068 for property located at 412 Tremont Street.
Sure. Vice Chair Henderson.
Brian, Brian, you mind? So I know at some point there had to be an objection letter for this to have been put on our agenda.
On the STVRs,
Yeah,
we don't handle the STVRs, that's the LVO. We do, RPA does send out the letters
Okay.
to join, we don't get those back.
okay.
My understanding, if somebody objects, it will get placed on your agenda.
Charlie, are you handling these today, or? So in my backup documents, I don't have the objection letter.
Okay, I'll make sure you have it.
Could
I
you
have
get-
it right here. I'll have it forwarded to you in 2 minutes.
Thank you.
That's it, Vice Chair?
That's it. Thank you.
Okay. No other questions? Now we'll move on to G, please.
A resolution adopting a 5-year capital improvement plan for fiscal years 2020 through 2024, subject to future revisions, a copy of which is attached hereto and made a part hereof by reference.
H, please.
A resolution expressing the intent of the City of Chattanooga to issue bonds in the aggregate amount not to exceed $11,000 of the City of Chattanooga, Tennessee, for the purpose of paying all or a portion of the cost of the following: city facilities capital improvements and/or campus consolidation, ESIP Ferdinand Peachway modifications, Greenway Farm Conference Center replacement, 3rd, 4th Street Airport area road improvements, Alton Park Riverwalk connector, Area 3 Commercial District streetscape improvements, Central Avenue, Patton Parkway, sidewalks, Somerville connector, Trans-STSC sidewalk, Riverwalk extension, Woodmore Streets, bridge management and maintenance, Elder Mountain Road slope stabilization and roadway improvements, and Wilcox Boulevard tunnel.
Councilwoman Burrs?
Just a slight correction, sir. That's $11 million. Instead of 11,000.
Thank you, Councilwoman. I, please.
A resolution to confirm the mayor's reappointment of Pam Shelley and Velma Hickson to the Chattanooga-Hamilton County Hospital Authority Financial Review Committee.
J, please.
A resolution authorizing the approval of change order number 2 for CH2M Engineers, Inc., relative to contract number W15002101, Fires Brands South Chickamauga Creek 5 Interceptor Rehabilitation for additional professional services in the amount of $72,610 for a revised contract amount of $997,690.
K, please.
A resolution authorizing the administrator for the Department of Public Works Division of Waste Resources to pay a city claim for property damage which occurred on April 9, 2019, at or near 6754 Dupree Road, Chattanooga, Tennessee, to Disaster Master in the amount of $55,185, and to Dustin Jones, homeowner, in the amount of $14,373, for a total amount of $69,558.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Clerk. There will be no departmental report today. Now we will move on to the public hearing regarding the Bessie Smith Cultural Center. Mr. Attorney, would you please give us the reasons?
Yes, sir. Pursuant to state law under 751-904, there is a requirement for a public hearing anytime there is a determination of a lease by the city for more than 4 years. A 5-year lease term, which is what this item is, requires a public hearing tonight or this afternoon. This has been noticed in the paper as of June the 3rd of this year for a public hearing to occur. So anyone that would like to speak at this point regarding a 5-year lease term for the Bessie Smith Cultural Center could come forward and speak at this time.
Anybody that wishes to speak on this matter has 3 minutes. Going once? Okay. This public hearing is now closed. Oh, I'm sorry, back up. Push your button. I don't see you. Here you go.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to acknowledge too that we have the staff from the Bessie Smith Cultural Center here. Thank you all for joining us today, and thanks for all the work that you do at the Bessie Smith Hall. We really appreciate you. Thank you.
I'd like to say echo to that also. Okay. Now, if there's no other person wishing to speak, we are now adjourned of this public meeting. At this time, I would turn it over to Economic and Development Chair, Anthony Byrd.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. All right, welcome to Economic Community Development Committee. We're going to start with Resolution 7A.
A resolution amending resolution number 29876 regarding the lease agreement with Dardanelle Long and substantially the form attached for the use of the barn on the Brown Acres Golf Course property for the keeping of animals as consistent with zoning with a rental rate of $200 per month for a term of 1 year with the option to renew for 3 additional terms of 1 year each.
Seeing no questions. 7B.
A resolution setting a public hearing to establish a downtown central business improvement pursuant to Tennessee Code, annotated section 784-511-2.
No question. Councilman Jerry Mitchell.
By mistake, and tonight there'll be a motion to defer for 1 week, I believe, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Going on to next week, Tuesday, June 25th, 2019, resolutions 7A.
A resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a 4th amendment to lease agreement with East Nuga LLC and substantially the form attached for senior activity meeting space in a portion of Eastgate Town Center at 5600 Brainerd Road for an additional term of 1 year for the amount of $6,843 per month for a total amount of $82,116 per year.
Seeing no questions. 7B.
A resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a second amendment to lease agreement and agreement to exercise option to renew and substantially the form attached with Bessie Smith Cultural Center to include extension of the agreement term to July 1, 2024.
7C.
A resolution authorizing the administrator for the Department of Economic and Community Development to donate 6 youth mountain bicycles to the City of Collegedale Police Department initiative for bicycle and pedestrian safety programs for an estimated total value of $240.
7D.
A resolution authorizing the administrator for the Department of Economic and Community Development to enter into an agreement with CityView, a division of North Harris Computer Corporation, for cloud hosting services related to the operating system for ECD Code Division for a 1-year period beginning July 1, 2019, and renewable for 2 additional 1-year terms for a total of 3 years for a total amount not to exceed $150,000.
Okay, seeing no questions, thank you so much. We will move into the information about the Business Improvement District resolution, and that would be led by, would that be presented by you?
I guess so, yes, sir.
All right, to our City Attorney, Phil.
At the request of 3 council members, we established a resolution pursuant to Tennessee Code Annotated 784-511-2, which authorizes the council to adopt a resolution establishing a business improvement district. That business improvement district resolution has to at least allow a public hearing, much like this body has already heard once before. It requires the city council to hold a public hearing not less than 30 days nor more than 45 days after the adoption of a resolution, and to adopt an ordinance that would establish a business improvement district pursuant to 784-515 of the Tennessee Code. Based upon that, this resolution, if you would choose to adopt it, would require the council to hold a meeting on July 23rd in this council chamber and have a public hearing like you've held once before. to adopt an ordinance that would be adopted by this body in connection with state law, authorizing that to occur if that's what you want to do. And that notification would be required by this resolution, allowing people to be present. And this particular resolution was sponsored by 3 members of the council here, and that's the reason it's on your agenda.
Thank you, sir. Councilwoman Carol Burks.
Is it on?
Yes.
Good. I want to thank you very much for including the 3 amendments that I wanted. And if you would please read those into the record, that would be open records, open meeting requirement,
Yes, ma'am.
audit, if you would please.
Yes, ma'am. The open meeting requirement that you requested is at least in the ordinance. That ordinance will be off until July the 23rd before you would be adopting it, but it has in section 2 on page 8 that the District Management Corporation shall indemnify and hold the city harmless from and against all loss, damage, or expense resulting from or arising out of provision of services or programs provided by the District Management Corporation within the district. And we also added at your request, let's see, get my next one on here, the items, I believe, J and K under 11.531, which state all CBID board meetings during the term of this ordinance shall comply with the open meetings requirements of Tennessee Code Annotated Section 844-107. And then item K is the CBID shall be subject to audits pursuant to ordinance section 2510 or other applicable ordinances of the city every year during the term of this ordinance before the annual city budget is approved.
Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Seeing no more questions. Okay, hold on a second. Councilman Gilbert.
I have a few questions. And you might can answer, Chair, since you're one of the members that put it back on. I'm curious of, I know Knoxville and Nashville was mentioned quite a bit on the presentation. Why did we not go the route they went when it comes to assessment of property instead of square footage?
I didn't get the question.
Why did they not go like Knoxville and Nashville put in their bid that they will do about assessment of property and not by square footage?
Assessment of property.
And then you also look at Knoxville, and they also have council governing that board also. I'm just curious of why not. And I believe on your first, on the first bid, my understanding, the first development of that, they did have council choosing the first board, but I think your resolution don't reference to that, correct?
Correct. I think at this point too, we're still in the development stages of a lot of this as well too. So those questions that you asked will be taken into consideration moving forward. Thank you for it.
I got a question for Phil.
Keep going.
Yes.
So if this pass or not pass, we still can make different changes when the orders come back for us, when the meeting comes up. If we want to change the boundaries or anything of that nature, we still can do this?
You have the authority to do that, yes, at that time on here. The resolution is merely just putting it back on the agenda for y'all to talk about an ordinance. Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Darren Leffert.
Thank you, Chairman. Phil, can you read off to me, there were 7 amendments that were made, our last, you already know I was going to ask this. And can you read off of the 7 amendments, which ones made it and which ones did not make it? While you're doing that, I just want to remind this council that this is now ours. This isn't being proposed by someone else. So we need to be really careful and thoughtful as we move forward of giving a lot of administrative power and spending of taxpayer dollars or assessed fees, however you want to label it, and with no oversight. We will be giving birth to this, to coin a phrase from one of my colleagues. And as we move forward in our discussion, I want to be very careful that as we give birth to this, that this doesn't set some sort of precedence as we move forward. So I hope that conversation takes place a little bit more in depth. I think some of the amendments that came out of that was in a wrong format, but that was following state law. So we'll work on that at another level. But I do want to just point out that we had some really good conversation. Apparently, there's been enough support mustered for this that we now have something before us that, given what I've been able to ascertain, does have a strong support for now. So, Mr. Attorney, can you read to me the
There were.
amendments that actually made it to the version that's now sponsored?
As I just read, those amendments that Councilwoman Burrs requested on here were the provisions here that the district management corporation would indemnify and hold the city harmless. That provision was allowed, and that was included in the version that you have in front of you. The ordinance itself is still subject to y'all's review and passage after a public hearing on July 23rd if you adopt a resolution. The provisions of the sections of the code, as we were talking about notices, or excuse me, all CBID meetings during the term would comply with the open meetings requirements, and the auditing requirements were added. Those three were included. There was also discussion that was presented during the meeting regarding the downtown business improvement district and whether it would have anything to do with governmental property. And that section was added in 11-531B to include language in there now to say that within the downtown CBID, in accordance with this section, exclusively for downtown CBID and not for the general tax coffers of the city of the county, notwithstanding the foregoing or anything contained herein to the contrary, all property owned directly by the city and county shall be exempt from the special assessment in accordance with Tennessee Code Annotated 784-523. So that provision was included as well in the code. I believe the only provisions that have not been added at this point in time were the sections under 11-529F, which was a section regarding the initial appointment of the steering board by the city council, which was 11-529F, and then the provisions under 11-525 regarding the boundary, and that's up to you guys to decide in your final decision-making as to the boundaries.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
And I do have a red line copy for you. I've got an copy of that sent to you all by email at this point.
Yes, sir, I did
Yes,
see
sir.
that. I appreciate it. Again, I just want to say that, when we were discussing this last round, I'm not against people getting together and spending the money how they want to, but I want to just exercise caution here because this is no longer someone else's idea. This is now going to be our idea. And we need to be really careful, and we need to get this as right as possible and make this as fair as possible. I did check on a few things as an alternative. There is nothing in TCA that says we cannot create property owners associations to address some of these same issues. Asheville is telling me that that's also a viable option. And also I want to also exercise, because I was personally challenged on an amendment that I have been able to lock down, that modifying the proposal as it deems advisable at the hearing is up to this council. So I believe that I was right in my standing, and I think it will hold up. So I guess we'll have further conversation, but I do want us to be really careful because we own this now. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman Coonrod. Sorry. Can you hit your light again, please? Thank you.
Come on. Thank you, Chair. I can only assume all these amendments mean that it's a vote for yes. But I have a couple of questions about the services that's going to be offered, because people that look like me, meaning black individuals, they seem to think that the creation of the bid means black people can't come downtown, or that blacks won't be able to afford to live downtown. And but we know how that story is constantly told, right? But I know one thing that I'm getting tired of is that the plight of black people is being used when it comes to those kind of conversations. The immediate fallback is that, well, black people can't do this or black people can't do that. We can come downtown. There's black people walking downtown all the time. I'm down here as often as I get a chance, and I always feel welcome to be downtown. And if there's anybody that's black that feel like you can't come, let's roll together. We'll walk the streets together, because we have to get out of that mindset that we're not welcome. That's why that's why they feel that way, because they're constantly replaying that message in their head. So, is there anything in this proposal of services that's saying black people cannot come downtown? Is there any state law in the TCA in regards to this that says that the security services, maintenance and cleaning services, hospitality services, et cetera, all the way down to O, that's saying, or in reference to black removal, black people cannot come, any language that I may have overlooked? If maybe they're not calling them black people, but is there anything in here that specifically says that to that targeted group of people?
Ma'am, I did not draft anything like that.
Okay. That's all I want to know. Just want to make sure that the community know that none of that is in here. And to my last time I checked, it was that the police just didn't arresting black people for walking downtown. Now, if that's happening, then we need to make sure Internal Affairs is aware of that as well. But outside of that, maybe Kim, you can answer this question. So, do you have any black-owned businesses that will be a part of this bid?
Can she? It's ours. So, hold on 1 second, Ms. White. Thank you. I think at the in conversation, maybe later on down the line, we can do the research of the black-owned businesses that are in that map district. I noticed, I think I've found 2 that are.
Right, I just wanted to be said, because
Okay,
the
I found
community
2.
that I represent say that there's not any black people
is.
in this bid, or black business owners. And there are black people that own businesses that live
Yes.
downtown.
Yes.
I just wanted that said for the record. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Councilwoman Coonrod. Thank you. And at this point, I see that we have no more questions. So I think we will move forward from this part. Yes, okay. So now we will go into STVRs. And if we can get a map up on the screen, greatly appreciate it. Good job.
Yes.
Are we good? I can't see it. It's up there? It's on there? Okay. Thank you all so much. Right now, Councilwoman Coonrod presented some changes to the map that she wanted to implement, and I will turn it over to our attorney now. How does that look, and what are we presenting to the people of the boundaries that Councilwoman Coonrod would like to present to us as well?
The only request for this amendment here is to the boundary that is right adjacent to the short-term vacation rental district boundary on Pinewood Avenue.
Okay.
And these parcels that are showing in purple on this map as Exhibit A are the only portions that would be included in the amendment here to be included in the short-term vacation rental overlay district. And it would end at Seminole Street at 3218 Pinewood Avenue. So that's the reference.
That's the reference, okay. Does anyone have any questions referring to the change or the different pieces being added to the map? Councilwoman Coonrod.
Thank you, Chair. Phil, it'll need to extend all the way to the end, 3219.
Yes, ma'am. 19 is on the far side. 18 is on the right side. All
Okay.
the parcels are numbered, and this map would go with the ordinance.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Anything else, Councilwoman?
That's it.
Okay. Councilman Jerry Mitchell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't think it needs to be added to the document itself, but as we spoke about last week, I believe 2 council people need to sponsor something to get it on the agenda, and I was glad to step up and do that. Again, my name doesn't need to be added to this, but I just wanted to say that I proudly support it.
Awesome. Thank you, Chair. Appreciate it. All right, seeing that we have no more questions, I will take a motion to move to adjourn. All right, thank you all so much. We are adjourned till 6 o'clock.
Yes, sir.